Talk 90. Again, the Trinity was explained. God the Father represents Ishvara. God the Holy Spirit represents Atman. God the Son represents Guru. Meaning that God appears to his devotee in the form of a Guru, Son of God, and points out to him the eminence of the Holy Spirit. That is to say, that God is a spirit, that this spirit is immanent everywhere, and that the self must be realized, which is the same as realizing God. Talk 91. A Bengali visitor asked, "How is the mind controlled?" Maharishi, "How do you call the mind?" Devotee, "When I sit down to think of God, thoughts wander away to other objects. I want to control those thoughts." Maharishi, "In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that it is the nature of the mind to wander. One must bring one's thought to bear on God. By long practice, the mind is controlled and made steady. The wavering of the mind is a weakness arising from the dissipation of its energy in the shape of thoughts. When one makes the mind stick to one thought, the energy is conserved and the mind becomes stronger." Devotee, "What is the meaning of strength of the mind?" Maharishi, "Its ability to concentrate on one thought without being distracted." Devotee, "How is that achieved?" Maharishi, "By practice. A devotee concentrates on God. A seeker, follower of the Jnana Marg, seeks the self. The practice is equally difficult for both." Devotee, "Even if the mind is brought to bear on the search for the self, after a long struggle the mind begins to elude him, and the man is not aware of the mischief until after some time." Maharishi, "So it would be. In the earlier stages, the mind reverts to the search at long intervals. With continued practice, it reverts at shorter intervals until finally it doesn't wander at all. It is then that the dormant Sakti manifests. The Sattvic mind is free from thoughts, whereas the Rajasic mind is full of them. The Sattvic mind resolves itself in the life current." Devotee, "Can one keep the mind away from entering into the phase of thoughts before one experiences the current?" Maharishi, "Yes, the current is pre-existent." 7th November 1935. Talk 92. A visitor said, "Some say that one should practice meditation on gross objects only. It may be disastrous if one constantly seeks to kill the mind." Maharishi, "For whom it is disastrous? Can there be disaster apart from the self? Unbroken I is the ocean infinite, the ego. I thought remains only a bubble on it and is called Jiva, that is individual soul. The bubble too is water. When it bursts, it only mixes in the ocean. When it remains a bubble, it is still a part of the ocean." Ignorant of this simple truth, innumerable methods under different denominations such as yoga, bhakti, karma, each again with many modifications, are being taught with great skill and in intricate detail only to entice the seekers and confuse their minds. So also are the religions and sects and dogmas. What are they all for? Only for knowing the self. They are aids and practices required for knowing the self. Objects perceived by the senses are spoken of as immediate knowledge, pratyaksha. Can anything be as direct as the self? Always experienced without the aid of the senses. Sense perceptions can only be indirect knowledge and not direct knowledge. Only one's own awareness is direct knowledge, as is the common experience of one and all. No aids are needed to know one's own self, that is to be aware. The only infinite, unbroken whole becomes aware of itself as I. This is the original name. All other names, that is Om, are later growths. Liberation is only to remain aware of the self. The Mahavakya, I am Brahman, is its authority. Though the I is always experienced, yet one's attention has to be drawn to it. Only then does knowledge dawn. Thus, the need for the instruction of the Upanishads and of wise